At 11:58 on New Year's Eve, my younger brother lifted his champagne glass and told 30 relatives that I was 50. 3, alone, childless, still driving a 12-year-old Toyota, and had nothing to show for an entire life. Everyone heard him. A few people laughed because Travis had spent decades teaching them that cruelty became harmless when delivered with a grin. My mother looked down at her plate. His wife recorded the toast for an Instagram story. He did not know my wife of 18 years was watching the video from our kitchen 3 miles away. He did not know our 3 children were waiting for me to come home and finish the midnight pancakes we made every New Year's Day. He did not know the restored flour mill overlooking the Mississippi housed the development company my wife and I had built from one condemned duplex and 19 years of work. He did not know I had quietly kept his own business alive through 3 emergencies, 2 payroll gaps, 1 medical crisis, and a loan no bank would have approved without my name behind the conversation. 3 days later, Travis called me before 10 in the morning and asked for $186,000 to keep his employees paid. 9 months after that, at Thanksgiving, my family placed a printed reconciliation agreement beside my plate and told me I could prove I loved them by funding my niece's wedding, giving Travis preferred access to my company's projects, and apologizing publicly for embarrassing him with the truth. I brought a folder containing 19 years of transfers, unanswered invitations, deleted photographs, and messages that began with, "How are you?" only when someone needed money by Friday. Then I asked the room the question none of them had ever asked me: did you actually want my life in this family, or did you only want access to what I built while pretending I had nothing? My name is Elliot Mercer. Most people call me Eli. I was 53 years old when my brother decided to summarize my life during a New Year's toast, and by then I had already spent most of adulthood allowing other people to mistake privacy for emptiness. I lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with my wife, Leah Moreno Mercer, in a brick house near Minnehaha Creek. The house was comfortable but not theatrical. 4 bedrooms, old oak floors, a kitchen Leah redesigned twice on paper before we spent anything, and a backyard where the grass surrendered every winter and returned as though nothing had happened. Our oldest son, Gabriel, was 16. Our daughter, June, was 13. Our youngest, Samuel, was 9, and believed tacos represented a valid answer to every dinner question. We had been married for 18 years. We had family photographs, school calendars, arguments about screen time, unfinished basement shelves, birthday traditions, and a dog named Franklin, who understood the sound of a cheese wrapper better than his own name. My extended family knew almost none of it. That was not because I had invented a secret identity or hidden my marriage behind locked gates. The truth was simpler and more embarrassing. They had been told enough to know, but they had decided my life mattered so little that absence became their preferred version. I had stopped correcting them. My company was called Common Ground Neighborhood Partners. Leah and I renovated historic buildings, converted neglected commercial properties into mixed-use spaces, developed affordable apartments beside market-rate housing, and restored old neighborhood structures that larger developers considered too complicated to save. The company occupied 5 floors of a former flour warehouse near the river. We employed 84 people across development, construction management, architecture, property operations, community programs, and finance. Our portfolio included apartment buildings, neighborhood retail spaces, 2 medical clinics, a youth arts center, several restaurants, and a renovated riverfront events hall called Millstone House. The company was profitable. Our personal finances were secure. My family did not know the scale because I had never offered them a tour, and they had never asked a question long enough to receive an answer. They believed I managed properties for someone else. Travis once described my job as collecting rent and fixing boilers, and I allowed the description to remain because correcting him would have required a conversation I no longer believed he deserved. I drove a silver 2013 Toyota Avalon. The paint near the rear bumper was scratched. The driver's seat had shaped itself around me. It started during Minnesota winters, held 3 children plus sports equipment, and required no emotional explanation. Travis drove a black Range Rover leased through his company. His wife, Celeste, drove a white Mercedes SUV because she said clients notice cars before they notice character. Travis lived in a large new house near Lake Minnetonka, with a home theater, outdoor kitchen, heated driveway, and monthly payment that would have frightened him if he ever looked at the entire number without optimism. He owned Northlight Event Fabrication, a company that designed and built temporary spaces for corporate launches, luxury weddings, product reveals, and hospitality events. Travis was talented. He could enter an empty hotel ballroom and see lighting, platforms, projection walls, lounges, stages, and movement. He could sell a client an experience before his staff had calculated whether they could build it. That talent created success. His inability to tolerate boring financial discipline repeatedly placed the success at risk. We grew up in Street Paul with our mother, Carol Mercer, our father Thomas, and an aunt named May who lived 10 minutes away and functioned as the person everyone called when our household became too loud. I was 6 years older than Travis. Our father sold industrial equipment throughout the upper Midwest. He spent weekdays driving between factories and weekends repairing whatever had broken while he was gone. Our mother worked part-time at a bank before staying home when Travis was born. According to family stories, I had been a serious baby. Travis had been a joyful one. That distinction followed us long after babies should be allowed to outgrow family mythology. I was careful, quiet, and watchful. Travis was funny, impulsive, and socially fearless. When he interrupted adults, they laughed. When I corrected an inaccurate story, I was told not to be difficult. When Travis forgot chores, Mom said he had a creative mind. When I reminded her that I had completed his chores too, she said, "You're older. Help your brother." If he received lower grades, teachers had failed to engage him. If I earned high grades, I was doing what came naturally. My achievements required no celebration because they were expected. His smallest successes became proof of transformation. At 13, Travis broke a neighbor's garage window with a baseball and cried so convincingly that our mother apologized to him before she apologized to the neighbor. At 19, I lost a scholarship application because Dad misplaced a tax form. Mom said disappointment built character. The family did not decide consciously to value him more. They simply organized themselves around the person whose disappointment created the most noise. I responded by needing less. Adults praised that response and mistook it for nature. Leah once told me, "You were trained to disappear before anyone could decide you were inconvenient." She was right. I met Leah at 29 during a community meeting about a condemned apartment building in Street Paul. She was an architect working for a small preservation firm. I was a property analyst for a regional real estate company. The building's owner wanted demolition. Neighborhood residents wanted affordable housing. The city wanted everyone to stop sending emails. Leah stood in front of a room full of frustrated people and explained, calmly and without pretending certainty, which parts of the building could be saved and which would require rebuilding. She wore a navy jacket, carried a notebook covered in measurements, and refused to make promises simply because the room wanted hope. I admired her immediately. We spoke afterward beside a folding table holding bad coffee. She told me my proposal numbers were unrealistic. I told her the design costs were worse. She smiled. Good. At least you read them. Our first date lasted 4 hours. Our second involved walking through a vacant warehouse because neither of us knew how to stop working. Leah was warm without being performative, funny without asking the room to recognize the joke, and uninterested in using charm to avoid facts. She was also the first person who noticed how often my family talked over me. Travis met her at our mother's birthday dinner 4 months later. He shook her hand, asked 3 questions about architecture, and then spent most of the meal telling stories about himself. Celeste, then his fiancée, complimented Leah's earrings and later asked me whether she was a little intense. I ignored it. Travis and Celeste married the following year at a hotel in downtown Street Paul. Leah and I were engaged by then. We arrived together. During family photographs, Celeste's coordinator asked Leah to step aside because they wanted the permanent family first. I said Leah was my future wife. Celeste laughed lightly and said, "Exactly. Future. We're doing current first." Travis heard. He said, "Don't make this a thing, Eli. We're losing light." Leah stepped away before I could decide whether to argue. The photograph included my parents, Travis, Celeste, me, Celeste's parents, her brother, and 2 cousins. Leah stood near a column holding my jacket. I remained in the photograph. That was my failure. I told myself leaving would punish my parents and create drama at Travis's wedding. What I actually did was allow a room to define Leah as optional, while I preserved my place inside it. Later that evening, Travis drank enough to become honest and said Leah was too serious to last with someone already as quiet as you. Celeste added, "At least she won't compete for attention." They laughed. Leah heard. She asked me in the hotel elevator, "Is this what every family event will be?" I said no because I wanted the answer to be no. The next Christmas, Carol asked me to come alone because Celeste still felt awkward after the wedding disagreement. Just this once, Mom said. You know how sensitive Travis is when he thinks people are judging him. Leah was the person excluded. And she handled it beautifully. That proves she's mature enough not to make Christmas harder. I declined, Mom cried. Dad called and said I was dividing the family over a photograph. Travis sent a text. You always choose moral superiority over normal life. That year, Leah and I spent Christmas with Aunt May, who had refused to attend the larger dinner after learning why Leah was not invited. May became the only extended relative who knew our life fully. She attended our small wedding. She held Gabriel the day he was born. She remembered June's school plays and Samuel's allergies. She never posted photographs without asking, because she understood that privacy was not shame. My parents did attend our wedding, but they left the reception early because Travis's oldest daughter, Paige, had developed a fever. Travis and Celeste did not attend. Travis said a client emergency made travel impossible, though he later posted photographs from a lake weekend with friends. We sent birth announcements when Gabriel arrived. My mother visited once and spent half the afternoon asking why we had not chosen a family name. Travis sent a gift 3 months late with a card addressed only to baby Mercer. When June was born, Carol said travel was difficult. When Samuel was born, Dad had died the previous year, and Mom said grief made hospitals overwhelming. Invitations to birthdays received polite declines. School events received no response. Over time, the family stopped asking about the children because asking would have required acknowledging how many years had passed. Travis occasionally referred to Leah as that architect you were seeing even after our wedding. The first time, I corrected him. The second time, I stared until he laughed and changed the subject. The third time, I stopped offering information. This was not healthy. At the time, I called it protecting my family. Leah called it allowing my relatives to live inside a fiction. You think silence keeps them away from us? She said during one argument. It also tells our children that their lives are something we conceal. I'm not ashamed. I know, they may not. That conversation remained unresolved because daily life kept moving. Children needed dinner. Buildings needed decisions. My mother needed medication help. Travis needed money. The irony was that while my family knew almost nothing about my home, they knew exactly how to find me during a crisis. Travis's first major request came in 2009, before Leah and I had children. Celeste was pregnant with Paige, and Travis had fallen 4 months behind on rent after losing a sales job. He called at 11:30 at night. Don't tell Mom, he said before explaining. I transferred $11,000 the following morning. He promised repayment within 90 days. He never mentioned the money again. I never asked because gratitude felt less important than preserving his dignity. That sounds generous. It was also conflict avoidance. In 2013, Paige needed surgery not fully covered by insurance. Travis called crying. Leah and I paid the balance directly to the hospital. That was not a mistake. A child needed care. But afterwards, Celeste posted a long message thanking the village surrounding our family without naming us. Again, naming was not the issue. The pattern was, they accepted help while maintaining a public story in which Travis provided everything. In 2016, Northlight Event Fabrication nearly collapsed after Travis expanded too quickly. He came to our house after midnight, though he had never visited for Gabriel's birthdays. He sat at our kitchen table with invoices, vendor notices, and handwritten projections. Leah made coffee. I spent 2 weekends reorganizing his pricing, introducing him to an operations manager, and connecting him with a client who became one of his largest accounts. Travis later told relatives he had finally cracked the growth model. In 2018, a bank rejected financing for new equipment. I introduced him to a lender who knew my company and personally committed to covering a portion if Travis defaulted. He received approval. At the celebration dinner, he gave a speech about believing in yourself when institutions fail to see your vision. During the pandemic, Northlight lost nearly every event contract within 3 weeks. Travis had 12 employees and no meaningful reserve. Leah and I provided $96,000 through a documented emergency loan, enough to maintain reduced payroll, while he shifted toward outdoor structures and temporary restaurant spaces. He repaid $40,000 over the next 2 years and then stopped when business improved because he assumed I no longer needed it. I did not demand the remainder. I told myself family support should not become a ledger. Meanwhile, Travis continued treating my life as evidence of failure. He joked about my car. He called my clothes public librarian formal. He described my work as buying old buildings nobody wants. At family gatherings, he asked whether I had started dating again, though I had never told him my marriage ended. When I said Leah was fine, he replied, "You two still doing that?" As if 18 years were an unusual hobby. I should have confronted him clearly. Instead, I chose dry answers and early departures. Silence gave me the feeling of superiority without requiring vulnerability. That was another truth I learned later. People who remain quiet are not always powerless. Sometimes silence becomes a way to control who receives reality. New Year's Eve took place at Aunt May's Craftsman House in Street Paul. She had lived there for 40 years. The furniture did not match. The kitchen cabinets had been painted 3 times. Christmas lights remained around the porch until February because May believed winter needed all available help. I arrived alone at 7:30 because Leah and the children preferred our own tradition. We cooked dinner early, played cards, and I went to May's celebration for 2 hours before returning home for midnight pancakes. That was the agreement. Leah kissed me at the door and said, "Leave before Travis becomes philosophical." He has never been philosophical. Exactly. May hugged me with both arms and whispered, "Your family sent me a video of Samuel's science presentation. He was wonderful." He read directly from the poster. Confidence is not the only form of intelligence. She had always understood. The house was crowded with cousins, adult children, grandchildren, neighbors, and several people connected to Travis's business. Travis stood near the fireplace wearing a fitted jacket and a watch large enough to function as equipment. Celeste filmed short clips for social media. Their new home had recently appeared in a local design magazine. Northlight had completed a major corporate installation. Paige, now 23, had become engaged to a young chef named Noah Keller. Travis was having what he considered a winning year. He greeted me loudly. "Eli, I'm surprised you escaped the property emergencies. Buildings become calmer when people maintain them. Still driving the old Toyota?" It arrived. Several people laughed. He asked whether I was seeing anyone. I said, "Leah sends her regards." Travis blinked, then laughed as though I had revived an old joke. "You always say that." "Because she continues existing." He moved on without asking more. At 11:50, May gathered everyone for a toast. She spoke about gratitude, survival, and the people who remained even after time changed the shape of relationships. Her eyes met mine briefly. Then Travis lifted his glass. "I'll add something quick." Celeste raised her phone. Travis thanked his business team, praised his family, mentioned the new house and Paige's engagement, and said some people were finally turning work into something visible. Then he looked at me. "And some people remind us that success isn't for everyone." A few people laughed automatically. He continued. "Eli is 53, still driving the same Toyota, no wife anyone has met in years, no kids showing up, and still managing buildings nobody can name. But he's consistent. We have to respect consistency." May said, "Travis." He raised one hand. "I'm kidding. Mostly." Then he looked directly at me. "Seriously, brother, it must be hard reaching this age with nothing obvious to show for it. I hope this is the year you finally build a life instead of watching everyone else live theirs." The room became silent. Celeste lowered the phone slightly, but did not stop recording. My mother sat beside the fireplace and looked down. Cousin Darren smiled nervously as though deciding whether laughter remained required. May started to speak. I shook my head once. She stopped because she knew the difference between rescuing me and respecting my choice. I set my sparkling water on the table. "Don't worry about me, Travis." My voice sounded calm because the anger had moved somewhere deeper. "I'm doing fine," he grinned. "That's the spirit." I turned toward May. The rosemary potatoes were excellent. Her eyes filled briefly. "Thank you, sweetheart." The countdown began. People shouted numbers. Couples kissed. Travis hugged Celeste. I left at 12:05. During the drive home, my phone buzzed with the video Celeste had posted. Caption: "Family keeps us humble." Travis's insult appeared between laughter and fireworks. Comments included crying emojis and "poor Eli." One person wrote, "Every family has the quiet uncle." Leah was waiting in the kitchen wearing pajamas, her hair tied back, pancake batter on the counter. Gabriel had seen the video because a cousin sent it. June had seen his face. Samuel knew something happened, but not what. He said you had no family, June said. He was wrong. Why didn't you tell him? He knows enough. Leah looked at me. That is not an answer. I sat at the table. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of explaining myself. Gabriel crossed his arms. So he gets to tell everyone we don't exist? No. It looked like yes. That hurt more than Travis. Samuel asked. Are we a secret? No. Then why don't we go to those parties? Leah placed one hand over his shoulder. Because some people were unkind to Mom and Dad a long time ago. Are they still unkind? Sometimes, I said. Then why does Dad go? Children can reduce decades of emotional compromise into one accurate question. I had no answer that did not expose cowardice. I love Aunt May, I said, and part of me keeps hoping the rest will change without me asking them to. Leah sat across from me. They cannot change a truth you never require them to face. We ate pancakes at 1 a.m. The children argued over blueberries. Franklin waited beneath the table. Ordinary life held me while humiliation tried to rewrite it. The next morning, Travis's video had been shared by several relatives. Celeste removed it after May called, but screenshots remained. My mother sent a text. Your brother drank too much. Please don't make this bigger. She did not ask whether I was hurt. She asked me to protect the family from consequences. I replied, I won't discuss it today. On January 3rd, Travis called at 9:47. His voice lacked its usual size. A major hotel group had canceled a large installation after losing financing. Travis had ordered materials, committed to subcontractors, and scheduled payroll based on the project. He needed $186,000 within 7 days to avoid missing payments and possibly losing his most reliable staff. I wouldn't call if I had options, he said. You usually have options. Not this time. Come to my office tomorrow at 9. Your office? I'll send the address. Can we meet at your house? No. Why? Because my family lives there. Silence. Right, Leah. He said her name as though testing whether it belonged to the present. 9 o'clock. He arrived at 9:17. Our reception team notified me when he entered the building. Through the glass wall of my office, I watched him step from the elevator into Common Ground's 5th-floor lobby. A large steel sign behind reception displayed the company name. Beneath it, smaller letters read, Founded by Elliot Mercer and Leah Moreno Mercer. On one wall hung photographs of completed developments. On another were portraits of our leadership team. Leah's photograph appeared beside mine. Travis stopped. Natalie, our receptionist, greeted him. He barely responded. He looked through the open work area at architects, analysts, construction managers, community coordinators, and property teams moving between meetings. He looked through the windows at the river. Then he saw me. I wore an ordinary navy jacket. Same face, same brother. Different room. Eli, he said, come in. I led him past the conference rooms. Employees greeted me by name. Our operations director, Marcus Bell, paused to ask about a permit meeting. Travis watched every interaction as though the office were a stage set designed to humiliate him. I opened the main boardroom door. Leah sat near the end of the table reviewing vendor information with our finance director. She looked up. Good morning, Travis. He stopped in the doorway. Leah wore charcoal trousers, a cream blouse, and the calm expression she used when a problem had already been measured. Her wedding ring reflected the window light. Behind her, a framed photograph showed our family at Lake Superior. Gabriel leaning away from the camera, June laughing, Samuel missing one shoe, Leah and me in the center. Another photograph showed the 5 of us at the opening of a youth arts building. Leah, Travis whispered, it has been a long time. He looked at me. You're still married? Leah closed the file. That is an unusual greeting. I didn't mean 18 years, I said. And the kids? 3. Why didn't anyone tell me? Leah's face remained neutral. We sent announcements. You sent a gift to baby Mercer once. He looked toward the photographs. I thought I don't know what I thought. You stopped thinking about us, I said. Then you turned your lack of attention into a statement about my life. Travis moved into the room slowly. This company is yours? Ours, Leah corrected. Eli and I built it together. How long? 19 years. You've had all this? We built all this. I gestured to the chair. Sit. He remained standing. You brought me here to prove something. Yes. So this is revenge for New Year's. Partly. Leah looked at me. We had agreed on honesty. I needed you to understand who you publicly reduced to a punchline before I decided whether I would rescue you again. Again? I placed a short summary on the table. Past support, rent, medical costs, business review, lender introduction, pandemic payroll. The remaining unpaid emergency loan. Travis scanned it. You kept records? My company keeps records. I excluded ordinary gifts. I didn't know you saw it like this. How did you see it? Family helping family. Only when help moved toward you. His face tightened. I came here because employees have families. That is why you will receive help. Relief appeared, followed immediately by caution. What kind? Common Ground will pay the affected vendors directly and cover 2 payroll cycles. Marcus will spend 3 days reviewing your operations. You will repay the company over 30 months. You will reduce owner draws until the balance is cleared. No new showroom lease. No Range Rover through the business. No personal cash transfer. You're taking control. I'm protecting employees from another rescue becoming permission. My business cannot look weak right now. Leah said, your business is weak right now. Looking strong is part of the expense. He stared at her. She did not blink. And after repayment, he asked, our financial involvement ends. Permanent? Yes. What if something happens? Something happens several times. I'm your brother. That is why I am helping today. It is not why I remain responsible forever. Travis leaned back. You hid an entire family and company, then bring me here when I need money so you can feel superior. I did hide parts of my life. That was unhealthy. It does not make your New Year's toast accurate. You let me believe you had nothing. You never asked what I had. You announced what you assumed. Leah stood. I have another meeting. She gathered her file and looked at Travis. Your employees deserve a stable company. Eli is helping them. Do not confuse that with approval of how you have treated him. Travis swallowed. Leah, about the wedding years ago. I stopped needing that apology a long time ago. I was stupid. You were comfortable. Stupidity is less deliberate. She left. Travis watched the door close. His eyes had become wet, though he would have denied it. You have kids, he said again. Yes. Does Mom know? She received announcements and declined invitations. May knows? May knows them. Everyone knew except me? Several people knew enough. You were the only person confident enough to speak publicly about what you never bothered to learn. He covered his face briefly. I'm sorry. For what? The toast. What else? He looked up. I don't know yet. Then do not rush the apology. Marcus entered. The business review began. We helped Northlight survive. Not comfortably. Travis had to call vendors, admit the cancellation, renegotiate schedules, and freeze personal spending. He sold unused fabrication equipment and canceled the Range Rover lease. Celeste was furious about the vehicle because it had become part of her online image. Northlight kept its core staff and completed smaller projects. The company repaid Common Ground on schedule for 5 months. Then the family narrative began changing. Celeste posted a photograph of Travis working late with the caption, some people celebrate success quietly, others hide it until family is vulnerable, then use it to make a point. She did not name me. She did not need to. My mother called. You humiliated your brother in front of strangers. The strangers were the people saving his payroll. You had Leah waiting in that room. Leah works there. You could have told us about the company years ago. I did not owe Travis an annual report before he publicly assessed my life. Family should know important things. Do you know Gabriel's birthday? Silence. That is unfair. Which school does June attend? Eli. What is Samuel allergic to? I don't know because you kept them away. You declined invitations because Travis and Celeste were uncomfortable. You chose their comfort. Mom began crying. I was trying to keep the family together. You kept the loudest section comfortable and called the missing people difficult. What do you want from me? Nothing today. That answer frightened her because my family understood requests better than distance. Paige's wedding planning intensified during the summer. She and Noah wanted to marry at Millstone House, our restored riverfront venue. Paige knew I had some involvement in the property after the office reveal. Celeste called Leah, not me. We thought it could be a beautiful opportunity to heal, she said. Millstone House rented for nearly $20,000 during peak weekends, not including food, staffing, furniture, or security. Celeste asked whether we could gift the space to the family. Leah replied, Paige may submit an inquiry like any client. Celeste called me immediately. Your wife is being formal. She is one of the owners. This is your niece. Correct. You paid vendors to protect strangers employed by Travis, but you won't give your niece a wedding venue? Those were employees affected by his decisions. A wedding is optional. Paige has dreamed about that building since she saw it online. She learned we owned it last month. Why are you punishing her? I am not. Then help. The old formula, refusal transformed into harm. Paige contacted me privately 2 days later. Uncle Eli, I'm sorry Mom called like that. Noah and I can't afford the regular rate. I wanted to ask whether there is a family discount, but I don't expect free. That was different. I offered a reduced weekday rate and allowed them to use available furniture without additional charges. Paige thanked me. She also asked whether Leah and the children would attend. Would you invite them? I asked. Of course. Do you know their names? Silence. I know Gabriel. I think your daughter is Julia? June. I'm sorry. Do you want them there because they are family, or because excluding them would upset the venue owners? She began crying. I don't know them enough to answer honestly. That is an honest answer. We agreed on one condition: no staged family narrative. Leah and the children would receive real invitations and decide for themselves. No one would use their attendance as proof. Every conflict had disappeared. Paige agreed. Celeste did not. Invitations arrived addressed to Elliot, Mercer, and Guest. Leah's name did not appear. The children did not receive invitations. Paige claimed the stationery company used an old list. Celeste said adding children would affect headcount. 2 weeks later, an updated invitation arrived with all 5 names, but placed the children beneath and family, despite invitations naming other cousins individually. Leah placed it on the kitchen counter. Do you still want to attend? I asked. Do you? I want Paige to have a good wedding. That is not the question. No, I don't want to attend, Gabriel said. Then why are we discussing it? June asked whether Millstone House remained available. We made an agreement with Paige, Leah said. We will honor it. Samuel asked, Can people use your building if they don't like you? Leah replied, Business and affection are different. He considered. That sounds annoying. It often is. At Paige's engagement dinner, Celeste arranged photographs near the river. Leah and the children attended because Paige had personally asked. The photographer called for the original Mercer family: Carol, Travis, Celeste, Paige, Paige's brother Lucas, and I were directed toward the center. Leah and our children stood several feet away. The phrase original family entered my body like an old injury. I remained beside Leah. Celeste whispered, We'll add spouses after. Leah is not an addition. Eli, please don't create a scene at Paige's dinner. Then take the photograph with everyone or without me. Travis looked exhausted. Just do one picture, Celeste. The grouping is already planned. Paige stepped between them. Everyone. One picture. Celeste smiled for the camera with a jaw tight enough to crack stone. Later, she posted a cropped version that removed most of Leah and all 3 children. Caption: The Mercers celebrating our girl. Paige saw it and asked her to replace the image. Celeste refused. It's my page. Leah looked at the post once and handed me the phone. This is why privacy stopped feeling like protection. I know. Do you? I kept waiting for them to become decent without risking a direct break. And I accepted being erased because I loved you. I'm sorry. Do not apologize only because the pattern finally embarrassed you too. She walked outside. Our marriage did not collapse, but that night created a conversation we had postponed for years. Leah had protected our children from my family, but also carried the burden of being treated like a secret. You attended their gatherings alone, she said. You listened to them call you single. Every time you returned quietly, you confirmed that we were not worth requiring them to acknowledge. I thought bringing you exposed you to more cruelty. You could have stopped attending. May was there. Then see May separately. She was right. My loyalty to an annual family ritual had asked my wife and children to tolerate symbolic disappearance. I had told myself sacrifice remained mine because I attended alone. It belonged to them too. What do you want now? I asked. No more split life. Either people acknowledge us and behave respectfully, or we do not enter. Agreed. And the children choose for themselves. Agreed. Do not reveal the family dramatically to punish Travis again. Agreed. That agreement sounded reluctant, because part of me still wants him to feel stupid. Leah almost smiled. At least that is honest. Paige's wedding moved forward at Millstone House. Leah chose not to attend. Gabriel declined. June said she wanted to see the venue decorated. Samuel went because he liked Paige, and because Noah promised tacos during the late-night food service. I attended with June and Samuel. We stayed for the ceremony, dinner, and one family photograph where both children stood beside me by choice. I paid no additional wedding bills. Travis requested an extension on the venue balance. Paige told him no, and arranged a payment plan from her own budget. That small act showed more adulthood than most family speeches. The wedding was beautiful. Celeste posted dozens of images. In the main family photograph, June and Samuel appeared at the edge. I asked them afterward whether they felt invisible. June said, "A little," but I knew I could leave. Choice changed the experience. Thanksgiving became the larger confrontation. My mother wanted to host at Travis's house because she said the family needed one honest holiday. By then, Northlight had stabilized. The common ground loan had been repaid by roughly half. Travis and I communicated only about repayment and occasional updates regarding Mom. Celeste's social posts remained indirect. She described people who use boundaries as punishment and success without generosity. My mother called Leah personally and invited all 5 of us. Leah asked, "Will we be treated as family or as evidence that the conflict is over?" Carol cried, "I am trying." Trying means what? Everyone at one table. That is furniture. I don't know what you want. Respect without access to Eli's resources. Silence. Of course, Mom said eventually. We agreed to attend for 3 hours. The children could leave with Leah if the evening became hostile. Travis's house looked like a magazine version of Thanksgiving. Long table, candles, matching linens, copper-colored place cards, staged baskets of blankets near the patio, and a handwritten sign saying, "Grateful for the family that always finds its way home." Celeste photographed the sign before anyone touched food. Our names appeared on place cards. Leah sat beside me. The children sat with Paige, Noah, and younger cousins. For the first hour, everyone behaved carefully. Carol asked Gabriel about school. She confused his grade but listened when corrected. Travis asked Samuel about soccer. Celeste complimented June's dress and did not photograph her without asking. It felt rehearsed, but rehearsed respect is sometimes the first step toward habit. During dinner, Travis thanked Common Ground vaguely for business guidance, without naming the money. I did not need public gratitude. Yet the omission reminded me how easily help became his achievement. After dessert, Carol cleared her throat. "Before people leave, we have something we want to discuss." Leah looked at me. The agreed 3 hours had nearly ended. Travis placed folders around the table. The cover read Mercer Family Reconciliation Agreement. Paige closed her eyes. "Dad, you said you weren't doing this tonight. We need clarity." The agreement contained 5 sections. I would publicly state that the New Year's toast had been an unfortunate misunderstanding, and that Travis had never intended to demean my life. Common Ground would forgive the remaining Northlight balance as a family investment. Northlight would receive preferred consideration for fabrication work on Common Ground projects. Millstone House would host future family weddings and milestone events at no venue charge. Leah and I would create a family opportunity fund to help younger relatives with education, businesses, housing, and emergencies. In return, Travis and Celeste would remove critical social media posts. Carol would fully recognize Leah and our children, and the family would commit to including us in major holidays. Inclusion had been priced. "You are offering us family status in exchange for money and contracts," Leah said. Carol shook her head. "That is not what this means." "It is written on the page," Celeste said. "The fund benefits the next generation." "Whose money starts it?" "Eli and you have resources." "So does Travis's household," Leah replied. Travis said, "Not at the same level." I looked at him. "That has never stopped you from performing as though it did." His face tightened. "This is exactly why we need a reset. A reset that clears your debt. The loan kept a family business alive. It kept employees paid. You agreed to repay it. You have more than enough. That sentence does not create your right." Mom placed one hand over mine. "Eli, you hid success while your brother struggled." I removed my hand gently. "I helped him while he struggled." Privately, because he wanted to appear self-made, Travis said. I never asked you to hide it. You never publicly acknowledged it. Would public humiliation have made the help better? No, but public arrogance made the silence dishonest. Celeste leaned forward. You enjoyed watching us think you had less. Sometimes, I said. The answer surprised her. After years of being dismissed, I enjoyed knowing the truth did not depend on your approval. That enjoyment became part of why I stayed silent. It was not healthy. Leah looked at me. We had discussed this admission. But my private satisfaction does not make this agreement reasonable. Travis shook his head. You brought me into that office to humiliate me. I brought you to the place where the resources you requested existed. I also wanted you to see what you had mocked. So revenge. Partly, then we saved your payroll. You keep saying we. Because my wife helped build the company. Carol said, no one denies Leah's role now. June spoke from farther down the table. You denied she was family in the photo. The adults turned. Celeste said, that was a crop for Instagram. It cropped all of us, June replied. You said the Mercers were celebrating Paige. We were there. June, I said softly. No, Dad. They brought a paper saying they will recognize us if you pay for things. That is weird. Samuel nodded while eating pie. Very weird. Leah placed one hand on June's shoulder. Thank you. We can leave if you want. Not yet. My 13-year-old daughter was more willing to remain visible than I had been for years. I opened the folder I had brought. Not the company's legal records. A family history. Copies of our wedding invitations sent to Carol, Travis, and Celeste. Travis's returned envelope marked schedule conflict. Messages where Mom asked me not to bring Leah to Christmas. Birth announcements. Birthday invitations. Photographs May had taken while empty chairs remained for relatives who declined. Screenshots of texts from Travis. Hey brother, hope you're good. Need a favor. We should catch up soon. Any chance you can review a proposal tonight? How's life? Also vendor emergency. Messages from Mom beginning with I miss you and ending with insurance premiums, house repairs, or money for Travis. Then the financial summary. Direct family support over 19 years. $287,000 to Travis and Celeste, including unpaid balances, $112,000 toward Mom's housing, healthcare gaps, travel emergencies, and household costs, $46,000 in education and medical support for nieces and nephews, professional work and company resources not fully valued. Total direct support, $445,000. I excluded gifts, meals, ordinary family generosity, and the cost of business introductions. Travis stared at the number. This is an accounting exercise. No, it is context. You kept a ledger against us. I recreated most of it after New Year's, because you said I had nothing to show for my life. I wanted to understand where part of that life had gone. Celeste said, you chose to help. Yes. Then you cannot use it later. I am not demanding repayment for gifts. I am refusing the claim that I watched family struggle while hoarding success. Carol began crying. I did not know it was that much. You did not ask because the payments arrived. I thanked you. Sometimes. What do you want, Eli? I wanted someone to ask about my life before needing access to it. We are asking now. You placed a funding agreement beside the question. Travis pushed his chair back. Fine. What is the perfect apology? Tell me exactly what to say. I do not want a performance. Then what? Name what you did without asking what it earns. He laughed angrily. I made a bad joke. You stood at midnight and described my life as empty because nothing I built was useful to your image. I didn't know. You knew Leah existed. You knew we married. You received announcements. You chose the version where I was alone because it made you feel successful. You could have corrected me. I should have. I also should have stopped attending family events where my wife and children were treated as optional. Gabriel looked at me. Yes. The word hurt and freed me. I failed them, I continued. I used privacy to avoid confrontation. I told myself I was protecting Leah when I was also protecting my ability to remain connected to people who disrespected her. I allowed you to call me single because correcting you would have required me to say I would leave if you did it again. That was cowardice. Carol whispered, Eli. No, Mom. Everyone's part. Mine too. Leah's eyes filled, but she remained composed. Travis said. So you admit you created the misunderstanding. I contributed to the silence. You created the insult. And now what? We never speak again? That depends on whether a relationship exists without financial access. Here we go. The remaining Northlight loan stays. Preferred contracts will not happen. Millstone House will not become free family property. There will be no opportunity fund managed through guilt. Leah and our children will not be acknowledged as part of a trade. Celeste said, no one is trading. June lifted the agreement. It literally says what you give and what we get. Noah coughed to hide a laugh. Paige said, Mom, she's right. Celeste turned toward her. Stay out of it. My wedding was part of this. I didn't know Uncle Eli and Aunt Leah owned Millstone House until we wanted it. That should embarrass us. You were a child during most of this, Travis said. I'm 24 now. I helped address invitations. I let Mom use Ann Guest for Aunt Leah because I wanted fewer complicated conversations. I knew it was wrong. Leah looked at Paige. Thank you for saying it. Paige began crying. I'm sorry. An apology does not need to solve everything tonight. Carol looked at Leah. I am sorry I treated Travis's comfort as more urgent than your dignity. The room changed slightly. Leah asked, why? Carol swallowed. Because Travis punishes disagreement loudly. Eli disappears quietly. I thought losing him was less likely. You were right for a long time, I said. Mom covered her face. I'm sorry. I believe you are sorry tonight. Change will be what happens after we leave. Travis remained rigid. So everybody gets a confession except me. You are free to say what is true. The truth is, I thought I was helping you by joking. You always looked uncomfortable. That is not the truth. Fine, his voice rose. I liked being the successful brother. I liked that Mom bragged about me. I liked that you drove an old car and spoke quietly because it made my house, business, and family look like proof I had won. The room was silent. He continued, angrier because honesty had begun. When your company appeared, I felt stupid. When I saw Leah, I remembered the wedding and how we treated her. When I saw the children, I realized I had turned my ignorance into their non-existence. Then I needed money, and you helped me anyway. I hated you for being better than the story I told. I am not better. You look better in that room. Because it was my room. Exactly. He began crying, though he wiped his face immediately. Do you know what it felt like walking through that office? Every person knew who you were. Every wall knew who you were. I have spent my whole life making sure people know my name, and you built something where your name mattered without you having to announce it. That is not a crime against you. I know. Do you? I'm trying. He looked toward the financial agreement. I wanted the remaining loan gone because every payment reminds me I still needed you. Repayment may be part of becoming someone who can face that. And if I repay it, do I get my brother back? You have a brother. You are losing access to a rescuer. That feels like less. At first, Celeste whispered, what happens to us now? Leah answered before I did. You stop building social stories around private people. You ask before posting our children. You stop implying Eli's boundary is cruelty. You build whatever relationship you can without contracts, venues, or money. And holidays? Carol asked. Separate invitations, I said. No automatic attendance. We may see May privately. The children choose. Leah chooses. I choose. Mom's face tightened. Families do not schedule affection like appointments. Families who ignored people for 18 years do not regain them through one dinner. We stood to leave. Carol tried to hug Leah. Leah stepped back. Not tonight. I understand. Celeste did not approach us. Travis remained near his chair. Eli, I looked at him. Are you still helping Northlight? The existing agreement continues. Marcus finishes the final review next month. After repayment, the business is yours entirely. What if I fail? Then it will be your failure. That's cold. It is adulthood. Would you let my employees lose their jobs? I would help employees find new work if necessary. I will not keep financing an unstable company to protect your identity. He nodded slowly. Fair. Do not call it fair because agreement sounds mature. For the first time that night, he almost smiled. You've said that before. People keep using the word. We left after 3 hours and 20 minutes. In the car, Samuel asked whether Thanksgiving was always that much talking. Gabriel said, only when adults avoid talking for 19 years. Leah looked at me. He is not wrong. I know. June held the unsigned agreement. Can I keep this for a school project about bad communication? No, Leah and I said together. She laughed. The aftermath did not become a clean revenge ending. Travis did not lose everything the next morning. Celeste did not apologize publicly. Carol did not instantly become a grandmother. Leah did not forgive me because I finally admitted the harm. Real repair moved slowly and unevenly. Northlight completed repayment 22 months later. Travis sold the lake house and moved with Celeste into a smaller home closer to Street Paul. The sale was not caused solely by the loan. Their lifestyle had depended on future contracts being treated as current income. The Range Rover disappeared. Celeste posted less frequently after followers began asking why family photographs changed. She continued consulting for luxury brands, but stopped using phrases about authentic family life. Travis retained 9 employees and focused on fewer projects with stronger margins. Marcus taught his team systems Travis had avoided for years. Travis hated the structure, then admitted it made the company calmer. He paid himself a fixed salary. For the first time, vendor invoices stopped becoming emergencies. He wrote me once each quarter with the repayment receipt and one line about the business. No request. No emotional pressure. I replied, received. That was our entire relationship for a year. Carol began writing letters to Leah and the children, not group messages, separate letters. She apologized to Gabriel for missing school events, to June for the cropped photograph, and to Samuel for not knowing his allergy. She did not ask them to call her grandma immediately. Gabriel did not reply. June wrote 2 sentences. Samuel drew a dog. Carol accepted all 3 responses. Change became believable because she did not compare them. Leah and I entered marriage counseling, not because we planned to separate, but because the family conflict had exposed damage inside our partnership. I had made unilateral decisions about which relatives our children would know. Leah had agreed out of exhaustion and later resented me for asking her to disappear. You were not ashamed of us, she said, but you were ashamed of requiring your family to choose. Yes. Why? Because I believed they would choose Travis. They did. I know. And you still survived. That was the lesson. I had spent 18 years avoiding confirmation of a rejection already happening. The avoidance cost Leah and our children the right to understand and choose their own boundaries. We began telling the children more age-appropriate truth, not every financial detail, not a campaign against relatives. We explained the wedding, invitations, missed events, and why Aunt May remained close. Gabriel chose no contact with Travis and Celeste. June agreed to occasional family dinners if she could leave at any time. Samuel wanted to know Paige and Noah because he liked their dog and Noah's tacos. Each choice was respected. The family stopped being one package. Paige and Noah became the first bridge. They invited all 5 of us to their apartment for dinner 6 months after Thanksgiving. No photographer, no social post. Paige cooked pasta badly. Noah rescued it with more sauce. She apologized to Leah without asking for reassurance. I participated in treating you like a complication because that made my wedding easier. I was old enough to know better. Leah said, thank you. Can we have a relationship? Perhaps. Slowly. What does slowly mean? Dinner tonight. No promises about Christmas. Paige nodded. Okay. She and June eventually became close. Gabriel remained distant. Samuel volunteered Noah to cook at his birthday. Relationships grew according to conduct rather than title. Celeste's apology arrived later and less cleanly. I thought you judged us, she told Leah during a public cafe meeting. You were quiet, educated, and successful before I felt secure. Excluding you made me feel like Travis and I controlled the family story. You cropped my children. I know. Why? Because including them made people ask where they had been. Then I would have to explain why I had never posted them. Your image required their absence, Celeste cried. Yes. Leah did not hug her. I believe you understand part of it. I do not want friendship. Can we be civil? Yes. Can I photograph the children at family events? Ask them. Even Samuel? Especially Samuel. Children deserve practice saying no. Celeste respected that rule. Respect did not make Leah trust her. It made shared space possible occasionally. Travis's real apology took 3 years. He invited me to coffee at a diner near the river. He chose a place unrelated to my company, so neither of us controlled the environment. He arrived early and paid for his own coffee before I sat down. The loan is finished, he said. I know. This isn't about money. Good. He placed no folder on the table. I have been trying to understand why I needed you to be unsuccessful. I waited. Dad trusted you. Even when he praised me, he called you when something truly mattered. Mom depended on you. May respected you. I was the entertaining one, but you were the person people quietly trusted. I think I learned to compete with something you were not competing over. That explains childhood. What about adulthood? I kept the competition because it made me feel ahead. And Leah? He looked down. She saw through me. At the wedding, she looked at Celeste and me like we were making a choice, not creating an accident. I hated that. Calling her temporary made the choice feel less serious. And my children? I did not ask because every year made asking more embarrassing. Eventually, pretending you had none felt easier than admitting I had ignored them. New Year's? I wanted the room to confirm I had won. I saw you standing there calm and decided calm meant empty. He swallowed. Then 3 days later, I called the person I had publicly called a failure because somewhere underneath everything, I knew you were the safest person I had. You knew when you needed help. Yes, that is not the same as knowing me. I know. He looked directly at me. I am sorry I made your absence into a joke when I helped create it. I am sorry I accepted your help and used silence to protect my pride. I am sorry I treated Leah as a threat, your children as irrelevant, and your work as small because I needed mine to look large. I do not expect money, contracts, holidays, or forgiveness. I would like the chance to learn who my brother actually is. I believe the apology because nothing followed it. No request. We agreed to coffee again in 6 months. Our relationship remained small. For several years, it was 2 coffees and 1 birthday message annually. Then Travis attended one of Gabriel's soccer games after asking him directly. Gabriel said yes on the condition that Travis not introduce himself to teammates as an uncle until Gabriel chose. Travis sat in the bleachers, clapped once when Gabriel scored, and left without approaching afterward. Later, Gabriel texted him, "Thanks for coming." Travis replied, "Thank you for allowing it." That response mattered. At another coffee, Travis asked whether he would ever visit my home. Not yet. Do the children hate me? Some are angry. Hate is their word to choose. Do you hate me? No. Did you? Sometimes. What changed? I stopped needing your life to become smaller. He nodded. I spent years needing yours too. We were not brothers in the old effortless sense. We were 2 men with shared history attempting to build something honest from limited material. Carol's relationship with us became broader, but never automatic. She visited our home for the first time when Samuel was 12. She asked Leah before bringing food. She stayed 2 hours. She did not inspect the house or ask what it cost. She brought childhood photographs of me, not to prove closeness, but because the children had never seen them. One showed me at 9 holding Travis on my shoulders. June asked, "Were you friends then?" "Sometimes," I said. "What happened?" Carol answered. "I asked your father to take care of Travis so often that I forgot Elliot was also a child." She did not say Eli was naturally responsible. She named the assignment. After she left, Leah said, "That was different." "Yes." "Does it make you trust her?" "More than before." "Does it erase anything?" "No." "Both." "Both." Common ground continued growing. Leah became Chief Design Officer while I shifted toward long-term strategy and community partnerships. We did not automatically prepare our children to inherit the company. Gabriel liked environmental science. June loved documentary filmmaking. Samuel wanted to design games and restaurants, depending on the week. We created no family entitlement. Senior employees received ownership opportunities through a gradual employee share program. When Travis heard, he asked whether I was excluding my children. "They may work here if qualified and interested," I said. "They will not inherit authority over people who built the company." "What about the wealth?" "They will receive security, education, and reasonable inheritance, not a reason to wait for our deaths." That sounds familiar. I learned from observation. "Do you trust them more than me?" "This is not about you." He laughed. "I'm learning that too." May remained the center of the family we chose to preserve. Her house continued hosting New Year's Eve, but I stopped attending alone. The first year after Thanksgiving, we stayed home. The second year, May invited our household for an afternoon gathering without Travis and Celeste. The third year, she asked whether she could invite everyone under clear conditions. Leah and the children chose separately. Gabriel declined. June and Samuel attended. Travis came early and helped set chairs. When I arrived with Leah, he greeted her by name and did not perform an apology. Celeste asked before taking photographs. Carol hugged the children who allowed it. At 11:50, May raised her glass. "No speeches after mine," she announced, looking directly at Travis. Everyone laughed. Travis raised both hands. I retired. May spoke about people having lives outside the stories families assigned them. Her voice shook. At midnight, I kissed Leah. June recorded Samuel trying to drink sparkling cider too quickly. Travis stood across the room with Celeste. He did not look smaller. He looked quieter. Those are not the same thing. Later, while people cleaned dishes, he approached me. "You going home to pancakes?" "Yes. I remember Mom making those when we were kids." I continued the tradition. "Of course you did." He looked toward Leah and the children. "You built a good life." "Yes. I wish I had known sooner." "You could have." "I know." That was enough. People often ask why I helped Travis after the New Year's toast. They imagine revenge should have meant refusing the call, watching Northlight collapse, buying the building from bankruptcy, and letting him discover my success through a newspaper. That would have been satisfying for a day and expensive for employees who had never mocked me. Travis's workers had rent, children, medical needs, and no control over his speech at May's house. Hurting them to punish him would have transformed my injury into entitlement. I helped because I had the ability, because he was my brother, and because employees deserve protection. I added boundaries because help without change would have been another quiet contribution to the same system. Compassion did not require permanent access. My family once believed silence meant weakness. Then they believed my company proved strength. Both descriptions were incomplete. Silence had protected me, hidden me, punished others, and allowed disrespect to continue. Success had provided security but could not create intimacy. The building did not make my life real. Leah, Gabriel, June, Samuel, Franklin, late dinners, school arguments, repaired walls, community meetings, and ordinary mornings made it real. The company only provided visible evidence to people who trusted property more than testimony. The most important moment was not Travis stepping into my office. It was Samuel asking whether he was a secret. That question forced me to see the cost of my pride. I had enjoyed being underestimated because the eventual reveal belonged entirely to me. I had failed to consider what remaining hidden communicated to the people I loved. Self-worth is not privately knowing you are better than another person's opinion. It is being willing to require respectful treatment even when the requirement costs you a relationship. It is also admitting when privacy has become avoidance. I did not owe Travis a performance of success. I did owe Leah and our children a life where I did not stand inside rooms that erased them. Once I understood that, boundaries became clearer. I stopped attending events alone to keep peace. I stopped answering financial requests disguised as affection. I stopped accepting "that is just Travis" as an explanation. I also stopped needing every relative to understand me. Some cousins still believe I was dramatic. One uncle says brothers should tease each other without keeping records. A former family friend told Carol that successful people should quietly help less successful relatives. I do quietly help people. I simply no longer confuse help with surrender. Travis is allowed to dislike my limits. Celeste is allowed to believe Leah judges her. Carol is allowed to grieve lost years. None of those feelings creates authority over my family, company, venue, schedule, or money. May died at 86, 7 years after the first New Year's toast. Her final months brought the family together in careful rotations because she did not want her home turned into a conflict zone. Leah helped arrange accessible changes. Travis managed food deliveries. Carol sat with her most afternoons. The children visited according to comfort. One evening, May asked to speak with Travis and me together. She held one of our hands in each of hers. "You boys spent too much life deciding who was louder and who was better," she said. "One of you shouted, one of you disappeared. Both kept the other from knowing him." Travis began crying. "I'm sorry." May said, "Stop apologizing to the dying person. Behave after I'm gone." That was May. At her funeral, Travis and I stood beside each other. No one asked who had achieved more. We were simply two nephews who had lost the safest person in the family. Afterward, he helped carry chairs at the church hall. I packed May's recipe cards for Carol. Leah found a photograph from our childhood showing Travis and me asleep on May's sofa, his head on my shoulder. "Do you want this?" she asked. "Yes." "Why?" Because the harm is not the only history. Keeping the photograph did not restore access. It allowed memory to remain complicated. Last Thanksgiving, 11 years after the reconciliation agreement, Leah and I hosted 16 people. Gabriel was 27 and working in watershed restoration near Duluth. June was 24, editing documentary projects in Chicago. Samuel was 20 and studying hospitality design, still convinced tacos improved every occasion. Travis and Celeste attended dessert only. Carol came for dinner. Paige and Noah brought their daughter. No financial documents appeared. Common Ground had moved into a larger employee-owned structure. Northlight remained smaller and stable, under a management team that did not rely solely on Travis. The Range Rover never returned. Travis drove a practical Volvo and complained affectionately about its lack of personality. Before dinner, June asked whether she could photograph everyone. Private? Leah asked. Private. People chose where to stand. No one called for the original family. Carol stood beside Gabriel after asking. Travis remained near the side until Samuel waved him closer. Celeste did not crop anyone. The photograph was imperfect. Paige's daughter looked away. I blinked. Travis had one hand halfway raised because someone spoke during the timer. We kept it. During dessert, Travis found the old New Year's video on his phone. I never deleted this, he said. Why? At first, because deleting it felt like admitting what it did. Later, because I needed to remember how confident ignorance can sound. Do you watch it? Once a year. That seems excessive. Therapy would probably agree. He looked toward the dining room where Leah was speaking with Carol, and our children argued over pie. You had all of this. Not exactly this. Relationships changed. You know what I mean. Yes. Were you happy then? Mostly. Why didn't happiness make my opinion irrelevant? Because you were my brother. He nodded. Does it matter now? Less. Is that forgiveness? Part of it. Will we ever be close? We are closer than we were when you believed you knew everything. He smiled. Low standard, useful place to begin. Before leaving, he handed me an envelope. My body still reacted slightly to family envelopes, he noticed. No money, no proposal. Inside was a photograph from May's New Year's party, taken several minutes before the toast. I stood near the kitchen carrying a plate. Travis stood by the fireplace with people around him. On the back, he had written, I thought the center of the room was the center of the life. I was wrong. I looked at him. This is almost too polished. Celeste helped. From the doorway, she said, he wrote 5 worse versions. We laughed. The relationship did not become simple. It became honest enough to hold humor. My brother once told a room I had nothing to show for my life. For years, I treated that sentence as an insult corrected by revealing my wife, children, company, and building. Eventually, I understood the deeper error. A human life does not require visible evidence to deserve respect. If I had remained unmarried, childless, driving an old Toyota, and managing one small building, Travis's toast would still have been cruel. My secret success did not make his disrespect wrong. His disrespect was wrong because another person's worth cannot be measured through marriage, children, property, volume, or applause. The reveal was satisfying because it exposed his ignorance. The lesson became meaningful only when I stopped believing accomplishment was the defense. Quiet people do not owe anyone a hidden empire. Single people do not owe children. People who rent do not owe property. People with ordinary jobs do not owe exceptional achievements. Respect is not a prize awarded after a person proves the room underestimated him. I had built an extraordinary life, but my right to dignity existed before any of it. That understanding changed how I saw Travis and myself. He had built his identity through visibility because silence frightened him. I had built mine through invisibility because exposure frightened me. Neither strategy created closeness. He learned to speak less. I learned to appear. Leah no longer entered family rooms as an unnamed guest. Our children were free to decline invitations without becoming evidence of my grievance. Travis's business no longer depended on rescues he could pretend were victories. Carol learned that choosing the easier child to disappoint still counts as choosing. Celeste learned that a photograph can be beautiful and dishonest at the same time. I learned that protecting people sometimes means leaving a room before disrespect becomes tradition. Common Ground's riverfront building still stands 12 miles from May's old house. My name is not carved across the front. Leah and I chose the company name because neighborhoods grow best when no one person is treated as the entire foundation. Inside the lobby, near the community meeting rooms, hangs one small plaque listing founders, employees, residents, investors, tradespeople, and neighborhood leaders who helped save the original building. My name is one among many. That feels right. I no longer need the building to answer my brother's toast. My life answers itself every morning when Leah complains that I loaded the dishwasher incorrectly, when Gabriel calls about a river project, when June sends rough footage, when Samuel asks whether Millstone House needs a taco concept, when Travis texts, "Coffee next month?" without adding a request, and when I can answer yes or no without either response, determining whether I remain family. So here is the question I would ask anyone listening, because people still disagree when they hear that I helped my brother save his company, even after he publicly mocked my supposedly empty life, then allowed a small relationship to return after years of change. If a sibling spent decades treating you as inferior, erased your spouse and children, accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars in quiet help, and only respected your life after discovering your success, but later repaid everything, admitted the full truth, and respected permanent boundaries without being promised forgiveness, would you let that sibling slowly return? Or would the New Year's toast be the final moment they ever had the right to call you family?